Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Marc Cisco, the head football coach at Byron Center. Marc, how are you?
Good. I'm really good. Need a little sleep, but we're good.
Of course, the next we're 3 days in. How are things going, and how was your overall summer for you?
Oh, I think overall summer is pretty good, probably for everybody now. It's a little different now that kids really are training year round. So there's a little less stress on fall coaches of all sports, make because their kids are usually, for the most part, physically ready. So that's made a big difference. But we had really good participation this summer by all our levels, and I thought camp was pretty successful. It was nothing dramatic or extravagant, but just kind of business and par for the course for us.
Absolutely. What's the outlook for Byron Center coming into the 2025 season?
Outlook, play better, like play better. Yeah, our goals are pretty simple. They're, to win games we're supposed to win, win more than half of the games that are 50-50 games, and then scare the crap out of teams that are way better than us. And I think if you can kind of keep it in that structure, you give yourself opportunities to improve. So we're going to be young in terms of playing experience. So we're going to have to grow up fast.
Yeah, I know 32, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 32 seniors graduated from your program last year.
32 seniors. Yep.
All right.
So it's funny because I said we only have 23 this year, which, 5 years ago, we'd have been excited to have 23 seniors. So, you know, I, we're blessed. We've had really good coaches and we've had kids that really worked hard. So
Yeah. All right. Of course, now it's time to talk about some of the kids to some of the names to watch, some of the returners that will be representing Byron Center this coming season.
sure. I mean, obviously Jackson Bovia is back as a 4-year starter for us. He's a two-time all-conference player at tackle. Nobody knows about him because he's too short. He doesn't fit the mold, but he's an old school type of player physically. He's super intelligent, qualified for the state finals last year in wrestling, which I think really, really helped him mobility and manage weight and some things like that. And, he's just a good leader. He's played in a lot of games. He's taken it on teeth a few times and he's delivered, probably more than that. So we expect him to play really well for us. Billy Butler's back at center, started off 14 games for us, was probably our highest grading center ever. And that was a great surprise for us last year. But again, a guy nobody really knows about. So I like those guys. Tate Bainbridge comes back after starting at tight end and strong safety last year, two positions he had never played in his career until last fall. And he played more plays than anybody else on our team except for Isaac Lee. So it's good to have his experience back, and he can talk about changing positions because he was a quarterback and he was a free safety and a linebacker and he's done all this stuff. So when we ask him to move or if it's a better fit for them, it's easy to have him because he's a great example of being able to do that. Aiden Van Dam's back at D tackle for us. Again, another surprise year, kind of like Billy was last year on the offensive line. He's a good player. He works hard. He's a strong guy. And again, he just goes about his business. So guys like that can really help us out. Chase Schwartz, wide receiver, right? Doesn't get much love last year because, it's Isaac Lee show and it should have been the Isaac Lee show. And Conrad was a good receiver for us. I think we had 15 guys catch balls for us, but really Chase has been kind of hiding in the shadows for a couple years. And we expect him to be a really good player on both sides of the ball for us this year.
Absolutely. Okay, so obviously some big names that will have to be replaced this coming season, of course, due to graduation. At the quarterback position, running back, all that fun stuff, and it seems like some of the kids have stepped up and may to fill those roles.
For sure. Easton Weichers and Tate have both played quarterback for us in season 2 years ago when Landon was nicked up. And so they both have experience as sophomores playing quarterback for us. And then Easton, a lot more of that last year as the prioritized backup to Landon. Different guy, different skills, a little bit bigger, a little bit faster than Landon was, but he's not this guy, not as shifty and crazy, but he's super smart guy. He can do what we need to do for sure. And we can stay within the confines of what we've always done. And he fits it really well. And then, the two JV quarterbacks we had last year, split time all the way through. Keaton Van Campen, who had a really good baseball season for us. has been an outstanding pitcher all summer for them. And then Brady Hartson, who's just a really athletic young guy, who's really probably got the strongest arm of all of them. So we're just kind of trying to see how those guys fit in and what they can do.
Absolutely. All right, now it's of course we talked about some of the kids. Now let's talk about the upcoming schedule. Of course, it all starts August 28th at Hudsonville. And then, of course, dipping into the OK Red the first 2 weeks with September 5th at East Kentwood, September 12th home against Hammond Morton, of course, a team out of Indiana. September 19th at Muskegon, September 26th home against Mona Shores, October 3rd at Grand Rapids Union, October 10th home against Reeds Puffer, October 17th, home against Forest Hills Northern, and finishing out the regular season, October 24th at Morris. And of course, that team is out of Illinois. So, pretty good schedule as always, and a lot of tough teams. You know how the OK Red, the OK Conference is. I'm playing two OK Red teams, but what's the green looking like this year? And then, of course, two out-of-state teams.
Sure. Well, yeah, obviously opening up with two red teams and a state semifinalist and a team that had them on the ropes, lost on a really an incredible play at the end by Hudsonville to get their, field goal team on the field with no timeouts, and the kicker drills it, and it was just like it was yes, and so that's it's going to be a tough go to start the season off. I'm sure they're. I told our guys like they're getting a new scoreboard. It's going to be beautiful. Let's hope it's not too pretty. Like let's do a good job there. But and that's a team we've worked with a lot in the summer prior with 7-on-7s and things like that. So it's never, it's going to be a challenge. They're going to be outstanding. Like they're going to be fantastic. But hopefully we're up for that and we can just kind of hang in and hang around. And then Kentwood, they improved, throughout the season last year, game after game after game. They got better and better and better in certain positions. And the guys they're bringing back are outstanding players for sure. The Jones kid at the D line he's unreal. Like he's probably a lot better than people give him credit for. And the two safeties are outstanding, and obviously the quarterback. And they just have a lot of pieces that they had just had to get figured out. And so they're going to be a handful, And then you get into Morton, who sent 11 kids to play college football last year. So they always have players, extremely talented. And then we get into the green schedule, where obviously we didn't win it last year. So, that's got to be a goal. You got to try to win your conference. And we play Muskegon, who will obviously had a tough season last year. Their schedule was unreal. It's kind of something we're looking at right now. And so they'll improve like that. That's a blip on the radar for them. Mona obviously brings back some great players, the running back and the two safeties that are outstanding, Duggins and Piggy. And they bring back some really good linemen. And that's just a plug and play program, right? That's just the next year. It's just another guy in those positions. And he's done a really good job doing that. And it's plug and play. And those guys can just take that role and run with it because they've done it all their life. And then defensively, they're just really good. Like they don't give up big plays. You don't throw the ball over their head very often, and you don't get big runs very often. You have to be super patient, and their kids are aware of it. So they're going to be, a force to be reckoned with in the green. And Forest Hills Northern, Eddie's got back. His son comes back, a quarterback who was really good last year. Was beat up by the time he got to them. And the Macaulay kid's a 4-year starter, and the running back's a 3-year guy. Like he's got a lot of, and the Silvernair kid who's a 4-year kid who's battled some injuries along the way. So they'll be experienced. They'll be excited. They lost some close games last year, and Reese Puffer, they have some guys around. Cody will do a good job getting some things squared up. They had some injuries last year that really hurt them as well, but they definitely have athletic kids, and all you have to do is look at track times, and you know what you're getting into with them. So I just and then Union is Union. Like they have challenges that other schools don't have, but they're not gonna hide. They're gonna play, and you need to play well throughout our schedule. And then we ended with Morris, who went 5-4 last year, and then went to the semifinals in Illinois. And in Illinois, for them coming to us 3 hours and 20 minutes may seem like a big deal, but they went farther to play their first round playoff game in St. Louis because they won to 32. They seeded, and they don't care about geography. Too bad. And they were young last year, but they are a physical group, and that is a very football proud town. So there's no breaks, and it will be physically demanding. it'll be a physically demanding schedule for us.
Absolutely. So, coming up these next 2 weeks before that first game against Hudsonville, and I know what has practice just been like over the course of the summer and the 2 months, especially with of course you guys going all the way to the state finals last year. What are the next 2 weeks going to look like, and what have the past 12 months been like for this
Well,
program?
yeah, last year's a blast, right? You get into it and you're going and you're going and you kind of get into and it's our first time getting that far. So you just kind of get into the mode. It just goes week to week and it's just becomes regular business and you have to be like that. But it created a lot of excitement in the school. We had a lot of success in multiple sports, which helps a lot. It gives you an extra 5 weeks with your kids. Like we had 5 extra weeks. That's a half a season. Like 14 games is a lot. Um, so hopefully that's a good experience for those guys and they helps them understand what it takes to get there. Um, right. You just can't make mistakes. And there's some things that are become non-negotiable if you want to be a really, really good top tier football team, like teams in West Michigan have that have continually played that deep into the playoffs. Summer, we're kind of hands off. I got to be honest. Like we get the 15 days. We don't use them. We don't use the 15 days. We've never really been close to that. Our kids are basketball, baseball guys in June. They're baseball guys a lot. So we try to fit it in July and the end of July. So our camp is just like our practice. So when we get to practice, it's the same, our 4-day camp that we host. And so it's kind of, again, it's a system and it's a routine. So our teenagers can get better at those things. And
Absolutely.
then when we're good at those things, then we can expand outward from that. But that's kind of what we preached. And so the tough thing in high school football that's different from other sports is physical sports is you get 2 weeks and then you're in the game week.
Yep.
So in 2 weeks, you have to acclimatize, you have to figure a bunch of stuff out with 60 whatever kids or 50 kids, like, and you never really have to figure out who your starters are for the most. You kind of know going in, and all the kids know, but you better know who 2 and 3 are because they're going to have to play sometime during the season, and they're going to have to play a role in the big game. So you just do a lot of work to get those next guys who don't have experience ready to play and ready to play our schedule, which is like, and there's other teams that have schedules like ours for sure, but they have to be ready. Because as of next Friday, when you get done with your scrimmages that week, you're on to game week 1. Like it happens so fast. And so kids have to really practice hard, prepare hard, do all your stuff really well, and then immediately flip the switch and get into game mode. And all your coaches have to do a great job evaluating all their groups of people. You have to somehow get really good at special teams in that short period of time and then stay healthy. So that's kind of what it's been like. And we're pretty robotic and we have been for a long time. And I don't know if that's good or bad. It does get a little challenging sometimes keeping kids focused and interested in it, but that becomes an easy talk for us. Like, this is what we do. This is how we do it. These are the expectations. If you don't waver from that, we're probably going to be in a lot of games. And then we can make adjustments along the way. And our kids have been fantastic with that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Mark, thanks for the time as always, and best of luck to you guys this year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.